The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes, and my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in itself. Isabella's no longer there, left shortly before I arrived. Or at least that's what a few staffs who saw her assume. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxbourne she frequents, and well, she never has been the complete complex kind. It doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. Still, that's all she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put! I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back to downtown Luxbourne, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that I don't know if I missed something. Besides, her backlog. Missed a button. Okay. Okay. So, whether I'm fighting for events about myself, I'd rather not think about it for now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie's house when I get there. Okay. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get there. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in a crowd this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary, mostly. And like I've surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over to their little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can stop myself.
Oh, thank goodness! Becca, you're just in time!
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands, but I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her.
Becca, you're squishing my face. How are you? Are you alright? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from a confused frown at my question, she looks pretty much like she would any other day. Even so, she can't really tell these things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on her bed with the rest of us none the wiser. It's one thing we laugh about now, but moments like those also teach you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today. That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
And there the whole conversation goes down as I've imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check this said injury myself, even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing like none of us can be bothered to act like full-grown adults we're all supposed to be, including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone? In fact, if that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this, just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand still mid-air as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he's leaving hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eyes. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning in each syllable alone is clear, and they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put? After that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest part of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
That's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yet try as it might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head, like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should, every small little thing. Despite what he says, despite
Look,
his
you
tone.
guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking like he often tells me, or maybe there really is something there. But in this short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake is it this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? For me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond, not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty, so many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with so much certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip of myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and being tackled
Thanks,
into a
Becca.
hug.
It's always been you with him, isn't it?
Did you say something?
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. It starts out quietly and without fanfare amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Crivens, even with my students, wouldn't fall for
Isabella,
this.
aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me time to regret. She doesn't give me time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates, grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up. There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this, and however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time it has to be me.
And you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off, slams the door right on our faces while our own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her, when she snatches a blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and balled fist, throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman, that is. Words form at the tip of my tongue ready. Before I can open my mouth and let it out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises his voice on his own. A warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop and look at him, even my own anger subsides a little on
Why
at
don't
his
we
tone.
all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, they only ring
We
sharp
haven't
and true.
seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give. Yet, here he is, trying to keep three stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can and will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it. And at the moment, my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Besides me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. And lines of his shoulder eased to something more relaxed, his expression back to his usual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the strap of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger on her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks, always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is also as
Keep
simple.
arguing here. We're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled up in a smile. Though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows she has no other choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run, to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us, less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been the childish, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now, somehow find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
That's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What's that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby. I'm not one.
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it.
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer. The shine in her eyes when she looks at the world. How everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with around her. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of a puzzle despite her jagged edges. How she draws people with her ease. How Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too. If you repeat that, I swear I'll...
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, lingering stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. From their playful banter, their friendly, teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles. All before the stabbing aches in my heart changes into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I've often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. And like a coward, I walk away with all of it, taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me from these thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Dusk has already given way tonight when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I'm hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy. Too loud. Too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces everyone to bump shoulders with those who they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
See you guys some other time.
Yeah. See ya.
Not even to return the smile Ashton and Zachary give us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier on that, maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that sodding letter, for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabel would stop babbling, or maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air to replace the strained atmosphere we've somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing, I'm not keen to deal with at present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and even in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated
Becca,
person on the planet.
hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
People wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded once you've already grown familiar with her habits. Though right now, this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds nothing more than background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier. Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
A long pause follows, and it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking my car and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring in on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answer I'd give. She's the same as Zachary, they're bad liars. But when you talk to people like that, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth, those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet something is in how she says it irks me.
I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute, preferably never. Especially when there are already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening. I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella.
Yeah?
I pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint my patience allows, which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily on her face, she gives me a curt nod. A relief, enough for me. Perhaps the first time I generally feel it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the doorbell. A relief enough for me. Perhaps the first time I generally feel it today. As pleasant as this day has been, seeing something go blah blah. Even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, all right. You should have just said so. I told you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for.
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever. Just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left another choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods of mine are to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her vague answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing at her. I can find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't, because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing a laugh once the first sound of her breathing filled the car.
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression everyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us. This silence and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity. Every little sound, every single movement, more palpable. And with it comes the unease. And jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if it's for a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodge my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swipe on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. The voice crackles from the loudspeaker before I can put it back. Although muffled heavily from the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Miss Cooper.
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines in my mouth forms into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up. Coming in?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some,
I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there. Although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story
Miss
altogether.
Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. But perhaps had I paid closer attention to it, had I not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier. that it never came from my phone, but from somewhere right behind me. Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness and the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it. Little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it is the gleam in its eyes that catches me. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them. More than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away. Even as his lips contort into a horrific smile. And as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air and the silence around us.
Car! Eyes on the road!
Against everything I've been taught and I've constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. It's a brief moment. A short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, my hands didn't move or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that exact second, I might have... Isabella and I might have... No. I shake the notion away before I lose myself in thought. Right now, it's an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into. Not when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it's not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. All gone. I expected stains, little retelling marks and creases on the covers to show me where it had sat not a second ago. But whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the back seat. Even then, there's none. Or was there really something there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. This stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, and little by little, second after second, as I sit here motionless, colors begin to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds and the voices, no longer the indistinctive ringing it was earlier.
Becca! Are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me! You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with my heat prickling on the back of my eyes and the mild throbbing of a temple, I could honestly do with little silence.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca!
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away then, while that's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she let loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she'd tell herself during her first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her reason that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
Be careful this time, I promise. Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that is the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Solemn Well in silence, all thoughts of the ever-active imagination playing tricks on a flu-addled mind, and with smiles never meant for my eyes, abandoned if only for a brief moment. I've got to go swap the laundry over.